So, are you and your significant other on the same page financially? It's no surprise when you look at the various studies that mention that 40% of couples fight about money issues on a weekly basis. That just sounds like that's a major problem, Zach.
That sounds like a major problem, Joel. And you and I have seen this in person when couples have come in to visit with us, sit down, review their documents, and they're kind of scrambling and they're not on the same page together, and that creates a lot of tension.
It does. It does make our days interesting when that happens. And so in this segment, and to help you avoid said conversation, we're going to give you 4 distinct questions to reflect on with your significant other to really help to put these money issues into perspective as a couple. So welcome on into the program. This, of course, is Dollars and Cents, where we help you make sense out of all of life's decisions involving your dollars. One of Central Florida's longest running radio programs, also coming to you as a top 25 financial planning podcast as well. So make sure you check us out on your favorite podcast platform or even our YouTube channel. To find any of those, just search for us under Nelson Financial Planning or Dollars and Cents, or you can go to our website at nelsonfinancialplanning.com to see the icons that will immediately get you connected to the various platforms. My name, of course, is Joel Garris, certified financial planner, certified financial fiduciary at Nelson Financial Planning. Joining me this week, Zach Keister, also a certified financial fiduciary and a member of the team at Nelson Financial Planning. So one of the biggest issues, Zach, that we see with couples is when it comes to their money is just that lack of I guess, overall communication about what exactly is going on with their finances.
And overall situational awareness as a couple. It's like there's this kind of this unspoken agreement, Joel, that's like, well, I'm the financial spouse, or they are the financial significant other. I have nothing, talk to them. I don't have a clue what's going on. And, when you look at that historically, that's typically men.
Right.
That operate the finance role. But the big problem with that is when you look at that statistically, and we don't tend to hang around as long as the women do.
Very true. The actual tables frown on us relative to women. So that's an excellent point, Zach, is that when we think about that, and men typically that sort of that financial spouse being all of those financial duties falling in that particular court, what really happens, and we certainly see this a lot in the office, is when he passes away, then she is left with trying to do something that she's never really done at all during the course of her life, and certainly leads to some pretty heartbreaking moments and some scrambles during a period of time where people are pretty emotional as it is.
Yeah, it's already an emotional hill. You're dealing with the loss of your spouse, and then you have to try and figure out the financial situation of which you've not been a part of. So it's really just piles on a lot of confusion and questions and worry and all those sort of things.
So then what are some of those questions then that people need to be asking themselves to help get on better footing, particularly as a couple when it comes to these money issues, if you will?
4 questions we're going to chat about today. The first one being, do we talk enough about our money? Second question being, do we have a designated person if something were to happen to either or both of us? Third question is, are we keeping good financial records? And then finally, are we on the same page with our investment risk?
Yeah, great question. So we're going to break down each of those a little bit more in a little bit more detail. So let's talk about that first one. Do we talk enough about our money? Let's get into that a little bit.
Yeah, we see that, communication is a major portion of that. Being on the same page is saying, hey, are we on the same page about finances?
Yeah, and certainly that is probably true for other things beyond finances as well, to have a good working relationship.
Communication, number one within the relationship.
Many things require that. That is for sure. And certainly when you sit down and talk about money and think about those goals, right? I mean, all of that becomes a conversation about what do you want to achieve in life? What does that look like? What does retirement look like? Do you want to travel? Do you want to stay home? All of those types of things all come into that conversation.
And that's another thing to chat about as well, the big purchases.
Yeah.
Are we buying a home? Are we planning on traveling? Do we want to buy an RV? Are we going to stay, where we are right now? We're going to move to a different state. There's a myriad of questions that come into play that you really need to have a discussion about in regards to your finances with your significant other.
And I would certainly also add, you need to be having these conversations regularly, right?
Absolutely.
These are not one and done conversations, because life changes, and frankly, what you want out of life also changes along the way. So the importance of making sure that you are talking a lot about money and some of the financial choices and financial decisions that you face as a couple.
Yeah, on a personal basis, in my life, this is done on a monthly basis.
Okay.
We sit down, we designate a specific time. Now, it changes. Sometimes it's mid-month, sometimes it's later in the month. But we sit down, my girlfriend and I sit down together, and we have dinner. You got to make it fun. Wow. Is the hard part. You can't just break out the computer and the spreadsheets. You got to do it over, dinner. You go out to dinner, and you review all your documents together and say, okay, are we still on plan for our 3-year goals, our 5-year goals, our 10-year goals when it comes to our finances and where we want to be in general? Are we in the location we want to be at that point? Are we still wanting to stay in the same area, the same state? What's our family planning look like? That sort of stuff.
Wow. Well, that's... I mean, I would kid you that doesn't sound overly romantic, but at the end of the day, if you're on the same page financially with your significant other, that is a great way to have a good connection and good romance in that relationship. So, good on you, Zach.
We're still young. We're still young, so we're early on.
All right. Well, then the flame's still burning bright. That's very good. We will shift away from that romantic advice to question number 2 in terms of what couples need to ask for. So, what's question number 2?
So, question number 2 is: do we have a designated person to handle our finances if something happens to either one of us or both of us? That's very important to have an outside person to come into play and kind of be there for if something happens to one of you, and especially if something happens to both of you.
Yeah, I mean, the classic example of this, Zach, is the Terry Schiavo case from Florida several decades ago, where there was some lack of clarity as to who was able to make decisions and who wasn't. And it wound up being a very, I think almost like a 6 or 7 year court battle between her parents and her husband, trying to decide exactly what Terry would have wanted in her case when she fell ill. I think it was a brain aneurysm or something like that. So a good example, particularly here in Florida, where folks really need to understand and to talk about that. Yeah. And then at the same point in time, I guess it's good to have some type of a financial overview document that you guys are preparing together as a couple, because having all of that information in one location that makes a lot of sense.
Nice and easy with the bullet points tend to work really well. Kind of a graph of if this, then that, yes, no, that sort of thing tends to work out pretty well. And like you said, you want that to be in a readily available location, whether that's in a specific filing document or, hey, it's 2024. Maybe it might be in the cloud.
There you go. That's right. And what's surprising is few people do that. And what we're talking about is a financial document that has not just sort of the name of the account and where it's at, but like the account numbers, passwords, all of that in a single document, so that you don't have to kind of go engage in this sort of Easter egg hunt, if you will, if anything happens to one of you.
Sure, absolutely. And it's vital to put either a phone number or an email address of who you need to contact as well. That way you can go directly to the source, directly to one person. Put the account number on there. Here's who you need to talk to. They're at this location. They're at this business. Just to really make it, easy for your significant other, because think about it, they're going to be dealing with a lot of emotions in that point. So you're really going to make it easy for them to say, here's the one-page document of where you need to go.
Well, and I think universally that's probably true of anybody.
Sure.
Whether you're in a relationship, not in a relationship, it doesn't matter. That single financial document that has that information on it is truly pretty valuable. So anyway, we're going to take a break here on Dollars and Cents with Joel Garris and Zach Keister of Nelson Financial Planning.